Rocket Carrier Semi-Trailer Delivery to the Loading Site in Urska River, Part 1. Hello everybody and welcome to OpaFed Gaming. You're listening to me, the OpaFed. Today we are driving our trusty Zigsy 605R. Well, I don't know how trusty it is, but we're going to hope that it's going to help us out. We're going to try and deliver this trailer. They call it a rocket carrier semi-trailer. We're going to try and deliver it to the loading site in Urska River. Now, if you thought there was a lot of pitfalls in Cosmodrome, hang around, because there's a bunch of pitfalls in this. And as some of you might know, I'm not really the fondest of pulling a trailer. I can't back them up, so I really have a tough time. That's why I usually like to drive the Kenworth 963. He's got a 3-slot cargo bed and he works out for just about everything. But we don't have that available because we needed a truck with a short wheelbase, and the Zigsy, who's probably, in my opinion, truck number 2 in the game, he was available, so we thought we'd take him. Now we got to go straight here, straight through to the end there, but there's a big hole in the ground part way down, and we can't jump over top of that. The Zigsy is good, but he can't do that. So we're gonna have to try and do a jog around it. Now, with this trailer, you really got to be careful because those curved things that obviously are gonna hold the rocket later, they tend to grab a hold of things. And like I said, I'm not the best in pulling trailers, and every once in a while I get it stuck. Yeah, it grabs a hold of a pole or a tree, or you name it, it's going to grab something. But that's okay. We're going to do our best to try and get this trailer over to Urska River. Now, we're starting off in the bottom left-hand side of the map, and we're going to go to the top right-hand side of the map. So we got a long ways to go, and you can't go as the crow flies, obviously. We have to make adjustments as we go along, and that's okay. Now, for those of you that are interested, at the end of this video, I've attached two separate maps that you can either pause the video or you can take a picture of, whatever you like, and it'll show you the exact route that I took. Thus, if you do get into this position, you can't figure out how to go, maybe try this route out and see if it works for you, maybe a little easier than it did for me. So anyhow, with that being said, we're going to head off through this little deserted city and into the bush as we're coming up the hill here. Now, I know with a trailer, especially a trailer this long, this is the longest trailer I've pulled in the game. And with a trailer this long, you really have to be aware of the off-track. And even while I say it, I make mistakes over and over and over again where I don't turn wide enough, or I should turn a little wider and back up and then pull the trailer through again. Sometimes I go a little bit too close, as I'm doing in this particular spot here. And when you get that close, you get stuck because your trailer gets high centered on the side of the hill, as you can see. So then the only thing you can do is either back it out, or maybe we can just go around that pole, that telephone or electrical pole, whatever it is. We can just, there we go. Now you got to remember with the Zigsy, and any truck actually for that matter, your winch is your best friend. And I tell you, in this trip here, my winch and fuel are my two best friends. You're going to use them a lot, and you better get accustomed to how it works. You can just throw them out, and it'll grab the nearest winch point, tree or whatever you can hook onto, and that's what you get. If it's a little tree, then you're not going to get anywhere because it's going to pull it over. Now, obviously, as you can understand, in the bush here, there's going to be a lot of winch points that it can hook onto. So sometimes it's best if you can do it manually. Now, I threw my winch out there and it hooked onto the pole that I wanted to hook onto. So, which is great. It worked out good for me. Another thing in SnowRunner when you're stuck somewhere, sometimes it just takes a little pull on the winch or a little crack just to change the direction of the truck, and it breaks you free. Now, instead of following the route to the left here, we got to go right, and it's going to go up and around. If you go left here, there's way too many big boulders, and it's almost impossible to get through there. This is a tough route too, really difficult, but it's a lot quicker than the other one. Now, the biggest problem here is right at the beginning here with these boulders. They get in your way, and yeah, it's almost impossible to get through there because the trailer is stuck onto the rocks there. So we're gonna try and that might not work. We're gonna try and pull it forward with the winch. Well, we broke it free, I guess. That's what I mean, you see. It didn't look like it was gonna go, and then all of a sudden it does go. So sometimes you're breaking it free. Now, when you get stuck like this and the front of the truck has no decent winch points, you can always hook your winch onto your trailer, as we'll see later on. I'll remind you of it when we get to that part. Now, this part is, like I said, this is really difficult, and it's slow going. It's very slow going. I find it almost soothing. You know, it's nice and easy. A lot of people like playing the fast racing games, and I don't mind them. But if that's your style and you want to go fast all the time, then this is the wrong game for you. Because in this game, you got to tackle everything at a snail's pace, and that's the beauty of it. I like that. Now, the Zigzag, just like most other trucks, when you hit a rock, it almost seems to want to climb that rock. Don't ask me why. It just pulls the whole truck towards it, as you'll see a few more times in this little trek across the map. Now, as we're getting to the top here, we're doing not bad, but we're gonna. Now there again too, I dropped markers all the way along, which you'll be able to see that in the map at the end. That's why I have the blue dot come up on the screen all the time, and you can see the marker as you get closer. Which is the reason why it's there. So as we're coming through here, it seems to be going a little bit better. But boy, I tell you that when the snow is deep and there's lots of rocks, and I've driven this truck quite a bit, and I know what it can and can't do. And you see here now we're stuck again, which only tells me we're high centered, and look at how long that trailer is. Absolutely amazing that we got it this far. But the problem is, what you can do now, like I said, is take the, there we go, we're hooking it onto the very back of the trailer. Yeah. And then we hooked it onto a tree, and now we're trying to pull it forward, maybe even just break it loose, and it seems to have done the job. So now we're moving again, and you'll get some of these here stop and go, and that's okay, you know, as long as you're not stuck in the mud for 5, 10, 15 minutes. That's just not a lot of fun. Now down at the bottom of this hill, you can see those two boulders in the middle, and there's just no way you can get through it. You're gonna have to go around it. So what I do is I go around the boulder, and then I slide over a little bit, but I try to pull it in right after the boulder, and then just let the trailer tires are gonna hit the boulder, and they're just gonna roll over top, right? I mean, that's not gonna make any difference, as long as my truck is strong enough to pull himself out of the ravine. Wow, that was close. That was close. But we're getting there, slowly but surely. This has definitely been one of my most difficult jobs so far. And this first video is only going to be part 1, because we're going to get it to the tunnel that takes us from Northern Age's installation to Urska River, and then from Urska River to the loading site. That's going to be another story, because that's not much easier than this, so we're going to have to wait for that. It'll be coming up probably shortly after this video. Now, as we're pulling through here, we're still doing okay. Everything is fairly wide. We have a little bit of trouble making the turns because the trailer is so long, but everywhere that it is a little bit of a problem. It just kind of drags past the rocks, and it seems to just follow the zigzag at the wheel, you know, and we're doing okay. But we haven't got to the real hard parts yet. You know, these are just been a couple of little minor problems that you had to try and overcome. Now here again, I try to take the turn a little wide. Should have gone a lot wider. I got to go over this little bridge here. I don't know how I'm gonna straighten that trailer out by the time I get to the bridge. Well, I tell you, it's a good thing it's a little wider than normal. I just hope that the back end of the trailer doesn't slip off. I usually just try to keep driving forwards. Don't look back to see if it's sliding off, because if it does, if you do look back, it might just slide. And as we're coming along here, we got by that bridge okay though. We did all right with that. Now, you see the tree and the telephone pole, and I was debating on whether I should go to the left or the right of that pole. Well, you know, your decision might just be what's going to keep you stuck in one spot for a while, as you will see in a few moments. Because the OpenFed doesn't make all the right decisions. Now we managed to just get by that tree. She's a pretty tight pole there, but we managed to get by it. Now, as we're coming up around the corner here, oh boy, I tell you, it is tight because that trailer is so long, eh? It makes it really difficult to try and pull it through. Now we got to turn to the left, and there again, like I said, oh no, we're going to turn to the right. Sorry, we're in a different segment. Okay. Now I try to turn it as wide as possible. That's why I thought I was turning to the left, I guess. But it's still not wide enough. You know, it's still grabbing the trees on the back end of the trailer. But we managed to get through that part as we're pulling along here. Now, I could have used the Kenworth on this, but the Kenworth is a lot longer frame. And with a longer frame truck, the whole caravan becomes even longer, and it makes it even harder to try and make the turns. So here we got to go left, and there again, try to take the turn as wide as possible, and I cut in way too soon. I should have gone a little bit wider, but that's okay. It's a tough job here. We're going to try and get by this here telephone pole. And up ahead here, we're going to have a pole sitting in the way, I believe. And we're going to wait till we get to the top here. We're going to go around this telephone pole in the tree here and crank it to the left. But there again, you want to try and take that turn as wide as possible. Now it looks like a lot of times I take the turn too short, but a lot of times the truck slips over too. So it's not always the OpenFed's fault, although mainly it is. So take the turn nice and wide. You got to get around. There's just a nice little spot there between the boulders there on the right hand side of it. Now up ahead, you can see there is a telephone pole leaning in. Now you can go on the left hand side or you can go on the right hand side. It's up to you. I tried the right hand side and I had a tough time. I couldn't get through. So I decided to back up and go on the left hand side. And why am I telling you this now? I'm telling you this now because I am going to save you from all the pain and hurt and upset feelings that the OpenFed had to put up with as he got stuck in there for many hours. So I'm just going to show you a little bit, and as you can see, now the back of the trailer obviously has been grabbed by a tree, or I don't know what has got a hold of it. I'm trying to pull myself through, but it's just a no-go. So anyhow, I came back the next day, got it all figured out, got the trailer pulled through, and I'm just on the other side of it, started out in a brand new day. with brand new encouragement and wanting to be able to deliver this trailer. Now, I didn't do it by myself. I did have my trusty Scout rescue vehicle mobile gas station that does come and help me out, but it still took quite a bit of time. So, you know, anyhow, I wanted to spare you all that, so we just put her on the other side and we just keep on going. So now we're going to try and finish what we started the other day, and I tell you, it is still tough road. Now we got to get down to ice level, and that's what we're going now. So we're going to go back here to the left. There again, some of these turns, because the road goes back and forth, you don't want to go over too far on one side. You want to try and see if you can cut it straight through the middle, right? To try and, well, that is if you can move. There you go. So now I decided to just go around these boulders down here, and this might not be the way to do it, especially if you had a rocket on the back there. And I'm going to pull it straight through rather than going where the tracks go. But she wobbles around quite a bit. I'm surprised it stayed attached. I figured I was going to lose the trailer there, but it kind of pulled me over to the left, which was great because that's where I needed to be anyhow to make this turn. And as we're coming along here, you'll see that when we make the turn, then we got to turn back to the left. So I should have stayed a little bit further in the deep snow here and not come back so fast, because the boulders on the right hand side there catch the trailer. But I didn't want to veer off too far off the path because I didn't know how deep the snow was going to be. And the Ziggy's already having a tough time. And I tell you, if the Ziggy's having a tough time, then it's a hard road, because he's one of the, I think he's the strongest, him and the Kent, the strongest in the game. Now that's just my opinion. I haven't tried a few of the other big trucks that are out, like the Avonhorn, and there's a couple of other ones. But for now, for me, these are my favorite trucks, and they're strong, powerful trucks. But you can see how slow the Ziggy's going. He's not breaking any land records. We got a couple of more tight twists and turns, and then we'll be at ice level, which finally will give us some room to breathe. But we're not quite out of the woods yet, because we're still, well, I'd say we're probably about halfway from where we started to where we got to be. So we still got a little ways to go. Now, we wanted to stay a little bit to the right-hand side here, and I did that on purpose because we got to turn left over here. So I didn't want to go too far to the other side. So when you get to here, you just make a nice wide turn, and even with as wide a turn as I make, what I like to do sometimes if I have in a really tight bind is just overturn, and then you have to back up, but at least your trailer is past the corner. See, and then you just back up like that, and then you continue on again. Now I can pull the trailer over those rocks, that's not a problem, but he's so long, here again, that he's still right by the rocks, the big rocks. And yes, I have to drag it by it, but we made it. Almost lost it, almost tipped him. Now if you tip him, then he will come undone. If you flip over sideways, then he'll disconnect. So just keep that in mind. You know, you don't want to tip him, because if that thing goes, if the trailer by itself is not a problem, because we can pull it back up again with the tugs. But if there was a rocket on top of that, I don't know if you pick that rocket back up. Anyhow, we don't have to worry about that. We're at ice level. Fantastic. Now, try and stay to the right-hand side, Opafed. Not the people watching, because I make a mistake here and I start to go in the wrong direction, which I caught in time, so I'm not too worried, because it's already sinking through the ice here, as you can tell. And you can hear it cracking underneath the tires. Now, we gotta go close by that pine straight up ahead of us. Don't turn to the left, but keep going straight, and you'd be okay. But we turned a little bit too far here, and we weren't paying attention, and we went a little bit too far. So we said, okay, let's back her up. Come on. Let's pay attention to what we're doing. We got big shards of an old break in the ice straight in front of us. Now you can go over top of that, and that will hold you. That is solid ice in front of you. But as you can tell, we're getting into some deep stuff here, just in time to climb out. Now if we stay on the side, even though the middle is fairly strong too over here, not back where we came from, but over here it's not bad. So now as we come around this corner, you will see my trusty Kenworth 963 and the Tuz. The Tuz to Terran 420, I believe is the number. They're sitting there waiting for me. They've been helping me along the way whenever I had trouble, and they also acted like a mobile fuel tank. Like I said, take your Tuz, use them as a scout, check out the routes, you know, and then you can see if your truck can make it or not. And then when you know you don't need them anymore, you can take their fuel. Now we were down to 137 liters, that's quite a bit, and we had nothing on the roof. So we might not have made it to the tunnel. Now we're completely fueled up. Now the Kenworth doesn't have a lot of fuel left, but he doesn't need it, because we're not going to need him anymore. The Tuz has still got fuel, and if there's a problem, he can still come and help us. Not to mention that a little ways up above is a fuel trailer. But if I wouldn't have fueled up, I might not have made it there, because if you get stuck, you use a lot of fuel, right? So, you know, better safe than sorry. Like I always said, it's better to have it and not need it than to not have it and need it really badly. So as we're climbing up here, there's not much you can do. There's rocks, boulders, and trees, and all sorts of stuff there. All you can do is just try and grin and bear it, and then when you do get stuck like this, take your winch. No, try it again. No. See, sometimes I like to try it 2 or 3 times to see if it's going to move or change the direction of your steering. No, nothing. Now the problem is, like I said, if you want to select a winch point, then you end up having to move the cursor through there when you're playing on console, which takes a little bit more time, especially when you're in the bush with lots of winch points to pick from. But if you want to be able to select your own, that's what you have to do. So as we're coming up here, we're going to hang a left. Now we've been down this road before, and we went through this road with the Kenworth pulling a construction rig trailer, and it didn't end all that well for me. You know, we had a few really big problems, and one that I'll show you up ahead. Now the construction trailer was a lot higher, and it had things hanging off the top, and the Kenworth is a lot higher truck too. So it makes for a different journey. I ended up having to take the Kenworth up through a side route, because I couldn't go the way I'm going today with the Zigzag. This game just absolutely blows me away. Every time I play it, it's so much fun. I find it so entertaining that it's the best game I've ever played. Now as we're coming over the top, the Zigzag is starting to move a little bit, and you can see that the little diamond, the yellow diamond with the tunnel icon in the middle of it has come on the screen, so that must mean we're getting close. We're getting awfully close now. But we still got a couple of more problems, pitfalls, I don't know what you want to call them. Challenges. Let's call them challenges. We have a few more challenges coming up. Now, when I came through here with the Kenworth and that construction rig trailer, I had to go left and go up the hill and go around this ravine part. But, like I said, the truck and the trailer were a lot bigger than this. Not longer, but higher. And the height is what caught onto that light pole straight in front of me. Now, I'm not going to have that problem with the Zigzag. But what I'm going to do here was a mistake. I decided I was going to climb right over top of these rocks in front of me, and which I probably shouldn't have done. I should have just turned right here and gone around them. So I try to climb over top of them, and I get about that far, and then I can't get any further. And there's no winch points. There's no trees. The tree that's up there is way too far ahead. So I back it up and I try to turn to the right. However, if you hit a rock, like I said before, it just kind of pulls the rock pulls your truck on top, even though you got your wheels turned. So, okay, what I did was I hooked the winch onto the tree sitting beside me, pull it over, turn your wheels, give it a little bit of fuel that helps you just the right amount to pull your truck over. Yeah, that's a nice little hint for when you're playing if you don't know how to move your truck from one position to another. And as we're coming up here, like I said, it was a little easier with the Ziggy than with the Kenworth. Much easier. Now when we get up to the top here, there is a 90-degree turn to the right. And rather than going straight to the end and then turning, I'm going to try and take a four-wheel drive route. Right where the marker is, I'm going to turn to the right. There's a nice wide area where you can drive through and get to the road. Otherwise, I'd have to go up ahead and you can see the watery, swampy area up there. I didn't want to go through that. Right there. So I thought, we'll go this way now, but there's a dip right in the front here, and then there's a dip again at the back, which is going to give you a little bit of trouble with high centering your trailer again. But there again, Ziggy will do the job for us. Come on, baby, we can do it. This truck is very capable. Now, I'm just gonna have to try and pull it up here, but I believe right over here is where he gets centered on that hump of snow. So I got nothing to pull on. So I'm gonna use one of the winch points on the trailer and hook it to a tree. That one right there. That should help us. It should pull the trailer forward. Oh, come on, babe. You can do it. There we go. And like I said, sometimes you just need to break the truck free and she'll go the rest of the way on its own. Now we got to try and climb up here. That's not too much of a problem, but we got a couple of more, you know, I guess it wouldn't be a problem if I could get enough traction. But without having any, I was hoping that front pole would have been able to grab me. Okay, well, I can't get him, so. Well, she's going anyhow. Never had to pull it, but she's going anyhow as the trailer kind of hangs suspended in the air. Now there's a couple more places. Come on. You can do it. You got to get in between these rocks over here. Now the best thing to do is to try and find the optimal path with the truck itself and let the trailer just follow. Let it follow over top of the rocks, because it does have wheels, and if it hits the rocks, it will roll over top of it. Now there's my fuel trailer waiting for me, and we're just gonna refill the tank, and we're gonna fill our supplies too while we're at it, because once we get into Urska River, we still got a long ways to go. We're not there yet, so we're gonna just you got 928 liters left. There we go. So now we're full and stuck again. I can't believe this. I should have maybe stopped a little bit further ahead. This ice road's too icy for me. Okay, something is holding it back. It's got to be those boulders back there. So we're just gonna. No, it's not gonna grab it. There we go. We're just gonna grab that tree to the left once we get to it. It is a little bit of a pain doing it, but this way, but that's okay. Only takes a second. And then once you, no, you're gonna have to winch him again from the trailer. Okay, there we go. Now we should be okay. And we've got one more trouble spot. Well, I tell you, there's been a lot of trouble spots with this journey. But what an absolute awesome game, you know. I mean, when you finally do figure out how to get through and how to get to where you want to go, it is absolutely awesome. What a feeling of trying to get your job finished. But we're only halfway finished. We're not there yet. Anyhow, I had a great time driving across the map of Northern Ages installation. I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and I hope that maybe you got a few little tips and tricks out of it. And if you did, maybe give us a thumbs up. Anyhow, in a few days after this one, or maybe the day right after, part 2 will be up and running, and you'll be able to check that one out. And I hope you come back and see the finish of the rocket carrier semi-trailer delivery, and then we'll see if we get to deliver a rocket. Anyhow, until then, you've been running in the snow with the OpaFed in a Zigzag 605R.